Hey everybody, this is Beth from the Geriatric Millennials. Jayme and I are on a little bit of a hiatus. Some stuff came up, we couldn't get together to record, so we're taking a little break. But don't worry, we'll be back soon. Until then, please enjoy this special presentation of my other podcast, Boozy Book Reports. I hope you enjoy. Hey everybody, welcome back to Boozy Book Reports with Beth and Sam.
Hi.
We're here. We did it. We made it. This was a hard one to get together. I was dying a little bit.
Yeah, third period is difficult.
Yeah. I was like, you know what?
And our Boozy Book Report school.
Yes. I was just like, it's fine. It's fine. We're getting into our groove. We're reading some interesting books. This month was one of Sam's picks, which I have a lot of feelings about. We are reading Like Water for Chocolate today. But before we get started, I do want to give a quick trigger warning. So there's essay, there's assaults in this, there's abuse, there's racism, there's war, there's fat phobia.
A little bit of homophobia at one point.
Oh, I gotta even...
It's a sexual book.
It is a very sexy book. This is not for children.
Well,
if your children in the car with you, I mean, it's an awakening. So there you go.
I read this at 14 or 15.
That's not I'm saying if your elementary student is with you,
yeah,
maybe
that's probably
switch.
not for them.
Maybe switch. But if they're in middle school, it might foster a really great conversation.
Adult themes.
It has very adult themes. So again, this was Sam's pick.
Yes.
And I just want to say to you, I was so pissed at you.
Why?
Again, spoiler alerts, because we're obviously going to talk about this book. But I read it in 2 days. I was shocked because I never read it. 2 days. And at the end of it, which we'll get to, I was like, F Sam. Because it was just like, I was so invested. And then I was just like, what was this ending? I was so upset.
So, we could come back to it. But I remember reading this book. I had to read it for IB English. It was the translated Latin American literature section that we had to go through. And I remember reading this and finishing the book just being so overcome with like the same things, frustration and excitement. And I remember calling my friend Courtney. So shout out Cookie. I know you're listening. Calling her and being like, you have to finish this book. I need to talk to somebody about this book.
Oh,
it's so good.
It is so good. But before we get into the book, we need to get into the drinks.
Yes.
Sam made some drinks that look so good.
Yeah.
And we just had a beautiful photo shoot with them. So I'm super excited to taste these.
This is the fanciest glass I think I've ever garnished.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
So we did 2 drinks. So the first drink, have you ever had Abuelita?
Absolutely not.
It's like a Mexican hot chocolate. They used to serve it when I was in college in the dorms around Christmas time. But it's my roommates always called it chocolate grandma, but because it's Abuelita chocolate.
Okay.
But it's like a Mexican hot chocolate that's kind of got a little bit of cinnamon in it.
Okay.
So this is my cocktail version of, so I guess this is some spicy grandma.
What is it? So what's all in it?
So this is the classiest use of Fireball that's ever happened.
Okay.
Maybe not. But I used a cinnamon whiskey. There is a little bit of creme de cacao and so chocolate liqueur. There's a little bit of chocolate syrup, some cream or any sort of like dairy product. And then, a little bit of coffee liqueur just to make it kind of mocha-y.
Okay.
To give it adult chocolate.
It smells amazing. It smells like, and then you rimmed it. That is not how you say that.
That's a different chapter.
Yes.
Let's save that for July. No, we did a cinnamon sugar rim, and then I garnished it with a chocolate covered cherry.
Oh my gosh! From a special store that you went to.
Oh yeah,
right?
Yes, it was a French Spanish grocery store.
Ooh, okay.
Yeah.
I'm digging in.
All right, sort of like a fancy.
It's good.
Brandy Alexander, I guess.
Yeah,
but with cinnamon whiskey.
It's yummy. It's like a little dessert.
Yeah, it's pretty rich.
Yeah.
It's also, it's a heavy, I'd say it's a heavy dessert style drink.
Yeah, I definitely want to be like, hey girls, let's go get 6 of these.
Yeah.
First of all, I would never get 6 of anything, but this is actually really tasty.
I think this is the first one you liked.
I liked the last time. I liked the green one, the absinthe one.
Oh.
I really liked that one.
Yeah, the last one.
And I really liked our mule from Boxcar Children. So, okay, we're winning for drinks. Sam makes amazing drinks, especially for a non-drinker. These are like prime.
Yeah, so I wanted to do something with chocolate because of the book title. And then the second one, you want to cleanse your palate because it's very different.
We have a cleansing elixir, aka agua.
Quitter juice.
Did you say quitter?
Quitter juice.
Oh, quitter juice.
So the water and the chocolate. So the second thing we have is, I guess I don't really have a name for it, but it's sort of like a zhuzhed amaretto sour. So in the book, she talks about the first time she saw Pedro, or the first time they really got together. She was drinking the creme de noya, the noya liqueur, which is sort of like an almondy, kind of like an amaretto style liqueur. So we're doing an amaretto sour, and then they talked about it having orange blossom flower. So I put in some elderflower liqueur and orange bitters to give it that sort of floral.
It smells very fresh.
Yeah, it's lemony. It should be lemony, sort of fruity.
Okay. Yeah.
You like it?
It's a little it's not tart. It's good. I just needed a little bit more sugary.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, especially after the previous
Yeah,
drink.
I think if I had started with this one and then gone to the other one, but my palate was like, give me sugar.
Yeah, give me the chocolate milk.
Oh, this is good, but this tastes like it'd be perfect for like a dinner drink.
Yeah, like a good hot summer day.
Oh my gosh, this just sounds like your back porch. Like I would love to be drinking with these. Okay. It's 2 sips in. My words are slurring. But I would love to sit with you on your back porch and look at your beautiful garden and drink this on like a nice, not hot summer night, but like a
nice warm summer evening.
Just delicious.
Oh, the's a little tequila in it too. So ode to Mexico.
Okay, well, the last time I did tequila,
it's very small amounts of tequila.
Not a good idea. I was like, what is happening? Okay, so we have our drinks, we have our books, and we are ready to go. We're ready to jump into this. Yeah. So first and foremost, I just want to give a quick little description. I couldn't find the back of the book where it gives like does yours have it on there?
Not really. It says, with more than 2 million copies in print, Like Water for Chocolate has taken its place along such beloved first novels as The Joy Luck Club and How to Make an American Quilt as a treasured part of America's literary memory.
Okay.
So no.
So I got this off Wikipedia because I couldn't find it anywhere. And so when I read this, I knew nothing about the novel. So that was the best way to read it because I was nothing. So this is from Wikipedia. The novel follows the story of a young woman named Tita who longs for her boyfriend, Pedro.
So much longing.
But can never happen because her mother's upholding of the family tradition. The youngest daughter cannot marry, but instead must take care of her mother until she dies. Tita is only able to express herself when she cooks. Do you want to describe kind of how this book is laid out? Because it's kind of fascinating what they did.
Yeah. So it's set up as basically monthly installments, almost like you would get with like recipes, like you would get in a magazine, or with like the way that it was described when we read it in English, or what our teacher, Miss Kerr, talked about was, it's quintessential like women's literature. It's set up as like installments as you might find in like a woman's magazine, especially at the turn of the century or sort of when this is set.
Yeah. And there's 12 chapters and there's 12 recipes. Yep. And it's really interesting because they give you the ingredients for the recipes at the beginning of each chapter. And then throughout the chapter, they're describing how to make the recipe, but it's interjected with like insane twists and turns. Yeah. Like, and knead the bread, and then Pedro rips off her top. That didn't happen, but that's basically like, you're like, okay.
Yeah. This is also, I think, a staple of what's called magical realism and magical realist literature, where you have everyday sort of magic in the pots and pans sort of idea that, you have all these magical, mystical occurrences or these supernatural occurrences, but it's rooted in very everyday things. Yeah. So in this one, the food sort of carries magic, and there's all these different things and that happen as a result of the food that
it's
she
fascinating.
Prepares.
So Tita's born into this family, and she's the youngest of, is it 2 sisters ahead of her?
There's 2
She's the third. She's the third. And so she's the youngest. So there's this and she was born in the kitchen, I believe, on a table and popped out.
Yeah, but it's like Mexico in like 1870 something. I think most babies born in North America in 1870 something popped out on a table.
But it alluded to what her life would be, because she had a hard time eating, and so I can't remember, it wasn't her grandma, but it was like her mom's sister.
It was the housekeeper.
It was the housekeeper. Okay, yes.
Yeah.
I couldn't remember what the relation was, but she makes all these broths and milks and things and
gruels and teas because she won't eat.
Quote unquote nurses her through the kitchen. And so she's raised in this kitchen cooking and spending time with this woman that adores her.
Yes.
Which is
this and this woman who has sort of these like pre-Columbian indigenous tribe sort of ties and recipes that come, there's sort of a mystical side of it.
Because it's not just food, it's remedies too.
Yes.
It's medicine. It's anything that has to do with what goes in your body.
Yes.
But so she's just set up to not have a great life. So we come into the story and she's 15 years old, which I did not realize she was so young.
Yeah, I forgot how young she was at several chapters in, too, because I thought, oh, man, there's a lot happening to basically a teenager.
Yes.
But so she's very young. But again, this is, 18-something. Even in the early 1900s, I mean, my great-grandmother was married and had her first kid at 14.
Yeah.
So
Right. So she's young for today's era, but not then. And so they live in this beautiful ranch near the Mexican-U.S. border. There's kind of war all around them.
Yeah. This is Pancho Villa time.
As I give Sam a blank stare, because Beth is not educated in that.
There was, there was like a rebellion going on at the time. And so they're sort of in the midst of the rebellion, but it factors into their lives, but they're not really part of either side at the point.
And Tina's just on the cusp of that moment between like when you're a kid and you're not a kid. Yes. That shift that just happens. You're like, oh, my hormones have settled in.
We're both Tita and Go Ask Alice are at the same points at the beginning of these books.
I mean, 15 is just an age, man. There's
a lot going on.
Yeah, that like it's a
rush of hormones and like insecurity
and hormones and insecurity. So she has this neighbor.
Yes.
Pedro. And Pedro is one fine mofo.
Something like that.
Yeah.
he's so hot.
So hot. And he is like instantly, they meet at like a Christmas party or family party or something, instantly in love with each other. They're just like, here we go.
Maybe it's the alcohol, but maybe it's true love. We don't know.
We don't know. But it's on fire.
Yes.
Like a fireball shot gone down your windpipe. It is on fire. So instantly they fall in love. But there's an issue because, first of all, Tita's mom is horrible.
Yeah.
Like there's so much generational trauma like spewing down.
Yeah. This comes up because she, the housekeeper lady, Natcha, talks about how she was supposed to also be married. And Mama Elena's mother would not let her get married, even though she was not even in the family.
Yeah.
She sent the boyfriend packing.
Yeah. It was I don't know. It was really sad kind of reading about that. But
yeah,
it was also very on par for not the domineering part, but just the struggle that it is to becoming of age and becoming a woman or identifying as a woman in a household with a mother that's challenging.
Yes.
And the headbutting that comes in with that.
Yes. And the idea that you might have your own wants, desires, and needs.
Yeah.
But that of Mama Elena's come first.
Oh.
Which is the whole root of the whole thing.
Tita's like in love with food. She's like cooking for the family. It's kind of the expectation that she's going to learn all the recipes and like keep all the family traditions. Because again, she's not allowed to get married. And then something happens. Mama Elena does something real dirty.
Oh yeah. She does Tita real dirty.
Real, like beyond. And she basically marries off Tita's, is it the middle sister?
Oldest.
The oldest sister.
Yeah. Pedro comes and asks for Tita's hand. Mm-hmm. And Mama Elena says, no, my youngest daughter has to care for me till the day I die. And says, but my oldest daughter, Rosara, is ready and willing to get married. And Rosara and Pedro get married.
And it's so effed up because Tita has to make all the food for the wedding.
Yes.
And it's not just like a little amount of food. It's like they're showboating. So it's like they have to show the whole town what's going down. And it was just like so sad to read.
Yes. She's and not only that, she can't show emotion, right? Because Mama Elena comes in and like basically slaps her around for being sad. She can't show, she even got mad because Tita said she had a headache and couldn't go to the engagement party. She just is like constantly abused. So I have to say this when I read this as a 14-year-old, and I think this is the interesting part about reading a book that you've read as a high school student and then reading it as an adult. As a high school student, we were just like, this book is so dirty. Wow. But as an adult, I was like, oh, this is like
so bad.
The narcissist hierarchy. And this is, and Tita's the scapegoat and Rosara's the golden child. And like, it just hit so much differently.
So different. Yeah.
Than when I read it as a kid.
A lot of, the romance is still there. Definitely. Like you can definitely feel the romance in it.
Yes.
But it's all the things to know as an adult and having lived as an adult and dealt with horrible people. It's just there's parts that are just so sad. So one of the things that got me was the fact that Pedro at the freaking wedding, Tina's been like having to cook, and she goes up to him.
She's weeping into the cake.
Yes, and just trying to stuff her feelings. And she can't. And then anyway, Pedro comes up to her and he's like so many red flags on this man.
Yes.
He's just basically like, he says to her, like, of course I would marry her so I can be closer to the woman that I love.
What an idiot.
Ugh.
I mean, granted, he's like 15 too.
Yeah, but what still.
A freaking moron.
Like, are you kidding me?
And she like rejoices in this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which I get it. Like, you want to be like, oh, he still wants me, but not seeing the dysfunction in that. Oh my gosh.
Well, and I think there's something too here in Mama Elena's idea that she could just marry off the oldest is that she effectively sets up for triangulation, right? Oh,
yeah.
That she breaks apart. There's no way that Rosara and Tita can be friends or even like they cannot be partners or confidants after this.
Yeah.
It's over.
It's done.
She's ruined their sibling relationship, their sisterly bond.
Yeah.
But yeah, he comes up to her and he says, that he married her to be closer to Tita.
Like, thank you. Like, can you imagine right now that happening? Like the love of your life, marrying your best friend or your sister and just being like, I did it to be closer to you. Okay.
Don't stand so close to me. Like please get away
from me.
No, it's so dumb.
And it was just so sad. And then again, the mom was just so mean. I highlighted this because it hit me in the feels so hard. And she's basically talking about how the task of cooking the meal for the wedding and everything fell to Tita and Nacha. And she just says, Mama Elena says, I won't stand for disobedience, nor am I going to allow you to ruin your sister's wedding with your acting like a victim. You're in charge of all the preparations starting now, and don't ever let me catch you with a single tear or a long face. Do you hear?
And Nacha totally defends her.
Oh, yeah.
Right? Like Nacha's there for her.
She's her person.
Yeah.
She's her family, her confidant.
But she's been through it.
Yeah. She gets it.
Yeah. She literally had the same thing happen to her. It's so sad.
It's so sad. And then she's so sad. So she makes all this beautiful food. And then as she's making the wedding cake, we see our first little like magical moment.
Yeah. Magic realism right here. She weeps into the cake.
And the tears are falling into the cake batter. Bakes a beautiful cake. And then
like the beautiful telenovela it is. Everybody who eats the cake is overcome with longing and weeping and sadness.
It's awful. Like everybody, and then throws not just vomits, like projectile vomit. Everybody at the party violently vomits. Everybody at this wedding is puking all over. And Tita I think she took like one small piece of. Did she take a piece of cake? I thought she took a bite. I can't remember.
But it didn't affect her because she was already feeling the sadness, and she gave the sadness.
And then she went to bed, and then this all vomitocious happened.
And Rosara's dress gets like caught up in a river of barf.
It's just like so much.
So weird.
And then,
but it's good.
And then the worst thing the next morning, Nacho's dead.
Yeah.
Died of a broken heart.
It pours.
It was just so sad. I'm like, this is literally like not even 50 pages in.
Yeah.
Like
the start of the book is tragic.
It kind of, as I was reading this, it made me think of this movie I saw once called, I think it's called Simply Irresistible. It stars Sarah Michelle Gellar, and she's not a great cook. And then something happens. She becomes this great cook because she starts cooking with her emotions, and everything she cooks, people feel it, whatever she was feeling while she cooked the thing. Anyway, I don't know if it's a ripoff of this book.
There is a movie for this book. Like
I watched
Laura
the movie,
Esquivel.
yes.
Did you?
Okay, so I didn't watch the full movie because I was going to buy it and then it didn't. I don't know why, but the version that I found did not have English subtitles and I am not fluent. So I found clips of it on YouTube from like a decade ago. And so I watched like 12 clips of it. So I got the gist, and it was very close to the book, and it was well done. And I think it won an Oscar. It was nominated for an Oscar.
We watched that in school. I watched that with my classmates.
I didn't see any sexy parts because it's on YouTube. Was there sexy parts in it?
There was definitely we'll talk about the exciting scene that happens in the
the next phase.
Shall we go past the sadness and get into the absolute?
All to say is that, this all happens basically now, like their wedding happens, everybody pukes, Natcha dies, and now Tita kind of falls into her role of like taking care of the family and cooking for them and whatever.
There's nothing left, right?
Yeah, that's it. And so, but Rosaria and her husband, Pedro, the love of her life, move into the house.
So now you're living with your abusive mom, your idiot boyfriend, and your sister, who's also the golden child and is, partaking in this abuse.
Yeah, and you've lost your only confidant, and now you have to do all the work.
Yeah,
all the cooking, all the
cooking.
I mean,
but that is her escape.
It is, but I mean, cooking a meal is a lot of work. Like, I barely can chop vegetables for myself before I get tired. I'm like, I'm over it.
This is also cooking too in like a time when she didn't have a food processor and she's like grinding stuff by stone.
Yeah. It's very impressive.
Yes.
It's very impressive. So she's just really getting into cooking. She puts all of her emotions in it, which definitely has an effect on her family. And Pedro brings home roses.
Yeah.
But
not for his wife.
Not for his wife. No, of course not. He's so stupid. He brings them in for his live-in girlfriend, aka his wife's sister.
You can write. I just wrote, he's so dumb.
Yeah.
There's so many points on the side of this book where I was just like, bad. He's so dumb.
What are you doing?
He's so stupid.
So she decides she's going to make a meal with this roses.
Yes, because she has these quail and she has these roses and she's got to get rid of them. But at this point, she's also infused them with her blood because she has like gripped them.
Yeah, and they have thorns on them. They're not like Costco roses, guys. Okay, they have thorns on them. Okay, this is back in the day when
he probably chopped those out of a bush himself.
Yes. So she starts making this amazing rose dish.
Yes. Inspired by the ghost of Natcha in the kitchen.
Yes. So there's a lot happening in this meal. And she's putting a lot of emotion into it. A lot. And then it's really interesting. There's one part of the story that really got to me because she had to like kill birds.
Yes.
And she wasn't used to doing that. And she said at first she tried to do it and she wasn't successful. And she just realized like you had to go for it. And she said like this. She said, you can't be weak when it comes to killing. You have to be strong or it just causes more sorrow.
Yeah.
And I don't know why that just touched me. It's not like I'm going to become a serial killer, but it just really like, okay, maybe
I took that to a different place.
Okay.
Not like I'm going to, ritually and repeatedly kill people, but
I guess, okay, well, I guess I could have got a different, I'm vegan though, so it's like, or vegetarian, so I guess I wouldn't kill a cow, but person, okay, that's too much. Sorry, Sam, just watch your back. Okay.
No, jeez.
She finally kills the birds and she makes this it's beautiful. Even reading it just sounds beautiful.
Yes.
It's just, so yummy sounding.
It's a quail and they've been cooked in wine and they've been, they have this, these beautiful garnish of these rose petals and everybody loves it.
Yeah. I mean, and set the scene, the entire family's sitting around the table with this. Like,
yes. And Pedro, being the dumb idiot that he is, starts praising Tita's dish as the greatest thing and food of the gods. And so Mama Elena's got to shut that down.
Yeah. She's like, absolutely not.
It's too salty.
This is trash food. I don't want to eat this. But as they're eating, the passion starts to come out.
Played up in the movie. It's so good.
Well, even in the book, I was like, dang, this is a little saucy.
Everybody is sweating a little bit.
Yeah, they're getting dewy.
And blood is running. And
then like there's like pink whiffs of things or something, clouds or something.
The aura, the scents.
Yes. And then middle sister,
Gertrudis,
she hot and bothered.
Literally so hot and bothered. She needs to take a shower.
She decides to take a shower and they have an outdoor shower, which was fancy at the time. And usually the water's cold. But for whatever reason, she goes to do it and the water's so hot, it just evaporates off her body. Or no, she's so hot, the water just evaporates.
So yeah. She's like, again, magical realism.
Yeah.
She is like, steam is coming off and then it lights the shower on fire. It's just so hot.
And she had like taken off all her clothes, gone to this outdoor shower with, you'd have to, but she didn't do it in a modest way. She was
nude.
like,
there
never
are
nude.
Dozens of us.
Oh my gosh, never nude. Boy, I haven't heard that term. That sounds super fun. I take showers with my shirts on. Okay, so
jean shorts.
So she's the water evaporates, and then she just like, it's like the shower sets on fire. She gets
spontaneously
it just combusts, and then she runs. She's running naked into the field,
thinking of this man she saw in the village. She's incensed by random village man.
Mm-hmm.
And he, drawn to her beautiful pink cloud
and
of
scent. Yes, because he's away.
Yeah.
He's like camping out with his like military troops or whatever.
But like a donkey, and he is there.
Yeah, on his horse.
On his horse.
Strong horse girl energy coming up.
and he swoops her up.
Butt naked.
They do it.
On the horse.
On the horse.
As he's galloping away. Into a field.
15-year-old me and Courtney were just like, what? This seems very difficult.
The logistics don't make sense.
How does it work? Adult me does also still think,
oh, logistically,
that sounds really hard.
Yeah. Maybe not. Maybe a pass. But it is, in the book, it is so, it's very passionate. I don't want to say, and it's not raunchy or anything. It's very just like, I didn't think it was, it wasn't written raunchy. It was just very like,
it's not hard.
It's like sexy. It's just sexy.
Yeah. It's not necessarily like Harlequin romance cheesy, but there are some of the tropes that sort of are like, that anybody who walked by the remnants of the shower or what was left of the ashes could smell roses for years to come. There is like a very dramatic element to it, but God, it's so funny. It's so good. And I don't mean funny in like, I love this book.
Yeah.
It's so good. I love the like passion, the beauty of it.
Speaking of beauty, so Miss Thing rides off on a horse and ends up in a brothel.
Well, she's got a fire to quench.
No joke.
She's not upset about it either.
No, she's literally just like, I need it. I want it. I'm going to do it until I no longer feel the need to.
Yeah. And then I'm going to go fight some stuff.
Yes.
I did write because I was laughing at remembering this scene and enjoying it again. Just like, have you ever been so horny that you lit your shower on fire? You ever smelled so good a man left a battle for you? No.
It's like, no, that has never happened.
It's never been my life. But man,
it was amazing.
She does acknowledge, she says, the movement of the horse combined with the movement of their bodies as they made love for the first time at a gallop and with a great deal of difficulty. She does acknowledge this is hard.
Yeah. But she still had a fun time.
Skills.
And what a way to go. So she had a great time. She's living her best life, but
this also gets Pedro like all hot because he's literally never seen a naked woman before.
Oh yeah, because he's peeping.
He's peeping, and he and Rosara have only done it the holy way with the sheet, the hole.
Yeah, so they had the sheet that they got for their wedding, and it's like
Gertrudis makes it for her.
Yes, and she's like embroiders all these flowers, and there's just a strategic place hole.
Yeah,
that the important bits go through.
Lord, this is not. This is for the creation of a child to serve you.
I can't even imagine. Let me get the sheet.
Yeah.
Okay, here we go.
Yes.
So everybody's in on it. And then Mama's not, though. Mama is not happy.
No. Gertrudis is dead to her now.
Dead to her.
Absolutely. Especially after she finds out from the priest that she's working in the border town brothel.
Yeah. Not great. So life, and here's the thing. It fast forwards in this book sometimes where I didn't realize how much time had passed because I'm being month to month this is happening. And I'm like, dummy, like months have passed. So
yes.
Next big event is Rosario and Pedro. They get pregnant, right?
They do get pregnant.
Am I missing something?
No, just I always cracked up because there's a whole bunch of lines that are like, damn Pedro, damn those Pedro eyes. And this is the beginning, the first one of damn Pedro, so decent, so proper, so manly, and so wonderful. Girl, no. Bye.
No, thank you.
He's terrible.
No, thank you. No. So they finally get pregnant because that was obviously a big deal. And they have a son. which of course that's what you want to have as a boy.
Yeah, Roberto.
But mama cannot produce any milk.
Yes.
And
which is it's not subtle, but there's like a big amount of symbolism here about who can provide and who cannot provide. And Tita is the nurturer and the provider, and Rosara is not.
No. And Tita is literally spontaneously gets milk. And she starts breastfeeding her nephew, which I get. Some people do that. They call them like something cousins or sister
milk cousins.
Milk cousins. Yeah. I get it. Like whatever. Especially then there wasn't like their.
That's different when it's a wet nurse. You're not sticking your unbabied boob in your nephew's mouth.
Yeah. Well, and there's a lot there. There's a lot to unpack with the history and how, and that they don't know about it. That's the other thing too. I think it's one thing. It's very Hand That Rocks the Cradle. Did you ever see that movie?
No.
It's about this woman, Rebecca De Mornay, I think her name is, or something like that. And she has a miscarriage, and like she ends up becoming a nanny to this wealthy family. And what they don't know is that really her husband was like abusive, and the wife that she's now nannying for like sued him, and then the dude like had a unalived himself. It was a whole thing. Anyway, it's a whole movie. It's really good though. But she's like this baby that she's like nannying. She starts breastfeeding the baby, and like without the mom knowing, and the baby won't take the mom's boob, and it's just like this whole thing. That was like one of the most disturbing things in a movie I've ever seen, is like someone breastfeeding a baby that was not theirs and that the mom didn't know about. It was too far.
Did you ever read The Grapes of Wrath?
Nope. That too.
The end. Yeah.
Okay. Why are people just like, hey, look at that kid, I'm gonna whip a boob out and just feed it?
Well, it's not a kid, it's an
I don't want that.
elderly man.
I don't want that.
Also read that in school.
No kink shaming here, but I don't want to read that.
Grapes of Wrath's an interesting book.
Okay, so she's feeding the baby, and it makes her and Pedro grow very close, because Pedro's like spending more time with her in the kitchen, and it's like they have this like fake family.
Yes.
It's super creepy.
Well, and there's all these moments now that he's like drawn to her breasts, like the one where she's like grinding the mole.
Yes, with no bra.
With no bra. Just free her boobing.
High up boobs.
Yeah. And then she like, he sees her, and then they have this weird kinky moment where they stare at each other, very Kama Sutra.
And Mama's not a fool. She's noticing some stuff.
Yeah, she knows.
And she's like, hey, this isn't going to happen. So she sends Pedro's family away.
Her sister, and the baby. Mm-hmm. Which does not end well.
No, the baby dies.
Yes, because he doesn't have
anything to eat.
Food.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's sort of also now Tita is just stuck in the house with just her mother. Like her sisters are gone. Even though she's not close to Rosara. I mean, I imagine that shields her a little bit. She's just alone. She's the most alone she's been at this point.
Yeah, with nothing.
And this is her whole life now. This is the only thing she has. Everybody's gone, and she's just her and her mother, who she has to care for till she dies.
Who's abusive and horrible.
Oh, she has Chencha. Chencha's the other person who works in the house.
So, okay, I might have the timeline wrong, but the baby dies. People are devastated, but they immediately have another baby. Basically, not immediately.
They have a baby
girl
afterwards. But first, Tita makes some sausage.
I don't remember that part.
Oh, I remember that part. She makes the sausage, and it reminds her of a time that in the night, it was a very hot night.
I remember this, but it's
May. In May, it's very hot.
Did I not highlight?
Oh, okay. So this is one I remember because we read it in school, and we were like, "Wow, that's dirty." She makes a sausage, and then she's reminded of Pedro's
sausage
chorizo. Yeah.
Okay.
And that's like their makeout scene.
Oh, I have vague memories. I think I was just like,
There's like some watermelon, and they made out. That's basically it.
Okay, I don't remember. Okay. I mean, obviously, I believe you.
And sausage
and watermelon. It's a great mix. So they've moved away now, and then the baby dies, and then they decide they have a baby girl, and there's complications, and so Rosaria, what?
Well, there's the breakdown too. the baby dies, and this is the psychotic break.
Oh, is this when she goes and lives with John?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
So the baby dies.
Yes.
And then she has the psychotic break, yells at Mama Elena, says that she killed the baby, and then hides in the dove coat.
Doesn't Mama Elena break her nose with a wooden spoon or something?
Yeah, she beats her.
And she goes into the pigeons.
And she goes to the pigeons and is covered in pigeon crap. And then they call for the doctor, John Brown, to come
commit her.
Commit her, exactly. Yes. But he does not. Yeah, this is the point. This is before the daughter.
Yeah, he takes her home, and then she finds a lot of healing there with his deceased grandma, who was
again magical realism.
Yeah, who was indigenous.
Yes,
and
she was Kickapoo.
Okay.
It said so.
Okay, I just didn't know. I didn't pay attention. But there's
a whole thing about they call her the Kickapoo and as like a derisive term, and it's a point of pride for her.
Okay.
There's a lot of connections to like indigenous
culture and things, which we stand
ways of knowing.
Yes, but so she's like she's healing up there.
Yes,
and the doctor has a little boy.
Yeah, Alex,
and she's doing much better.
Yes.
And
Chencha brings her some soup.
Yes, which was very oh my gosh, what's the word? Dangerous for her? Not dangerous. Like if Mama would have found out, it was risky. Yeah.
So there's a whole thing about soup being healing. Mm-hmm. Are you a soup person?
Hell's to the no.
We've not talked enough about the delicious food in this.
Yeah.
You're not a soup person?
Okay, I know. But soup is a little too sloshy for me. So if it's like a hearty stew, I'm down. If I have bread with it. But if it's just like soup, like here, have some vegetable soup. No, thank you. It's going to slosh in my stomach. I'm twisting my torso right now to show Sam, my 7-year-old self, and what I would do. I don't know. I'm not a soup person.
Really?
Yeah. I just don't like it.
Soup is my greatest comfort.
Oh.
And my husband hates soup.
Oh, that's hard for you.
It was nearly a deal breaker for us when we were together. Food is very important to me.
Yeah.
And it was nearly a deal breaker when we first started dating.
Oh, I can only imagine.
Good. Like, what was I going to do? What was I going to make?
Oh, I love to make soup.
Yes.
So I made this soup once, and it took me
But it's got to be a hearty soup. It can't be a thin soup.
For you?
No, for you. You said
I made a thin ass soup. So I made this soup broth and I freaking boiled vegetables all day long.
Yeah.
It was amazing broth.
Yeah.
It's quote unquote miracle broth.
Yeah.
I drank it once and then I froze a bunch of it. And then I never looked at it again.
Too thin. Too sloshy.
I just couldn't. I was like, I don't like hot beverages. I don't like hot liquids.
Okay, you would not like the Abuelita, which is the thing that thing's based off of.
Yeah, I don't drink. I mean, I very rarely even drink anything over like kids temp at Starbucks. That's what I get at Starbucks if I get something that's hot. I never drink anything hot.
What?
No coffee, no tea.
I literally live for coffee. I get up in the morning and the reason I go to work is because the Nespresso machine is at work.
No.
If I got one at home, I would not go to work.
Yeah, nothing. Like I have a tea station at my house and I love it. It's so cute. I'm like, I'm going to have tea and then I won't drink it because it's hot. I'm like, I'll drink. So I like the tea to like cool down just to where it's not like, just to where it's like warm still. And I have like maybe a 2-minute window to drink things because then it's too cold.
Oh my gosh.
It's a problem.
You need one of those like ember cups that like keep it the right temperature.
Yeah, but it's just like I just need it at 110 degrees. Like barely warm.
So wait, do you feel that way about your soup too?
No, I hate cold soup, but I can't have super hot soup.
Like gazpacho?
No, thank you.
What?
Instantly, no.
Every vicious one?
No. If it is cold and it is soupy, I'm out.
Okay.
I don't even like a cold sauce, like on my plated. Like, no, thank you.
It's like Tom Haverford from Parks and Rec. Heat it up for me. Dribble it on for me.
Yeah.
No. I love soup.
What's your favorite kind? What's your favorite soup to make and eat that you feel the most love?
So my favorite one to make is chili because Kevin likes it. That's the one soup that Kevin will eat, even though
I'm sorry, but chili's not soup.
It's kind of stewy.
It's chili.
Yeah, it's chili. It's good. It's,
with cornbread. That's not, to me, that's not soup, but
he doesn't eat it with cornbread. He pours a crap ton of cheese in it and eats it with tortilla chips.
You tell him
it's just basically nachos.
Yeah.
But my favorite soup is probably, okay, I'll make an awful confession. My favorite soup is cream of mushroom, and I don't care. I will. The Campbell's cream of mushroom will totally eat that. Love that. Love it so much.
Do you water it down and just eat it like full on, just
I will
concentrated?
If it's concentrated, it's like, have you seen it?
Yeah.
It's
I use
gelatinous.
it in cooking. Yeah.
Yeah. No, I
Just
like
chomp on it. Like, got me some soup. It's extra thick.
Got some soup jelly. Smear it on some bread. No, I love with milk.
Okay.
I'll do it with milk. But man, I love cream of mushroom.
I like cream of mushroom too.
It's so good.
The sad thing is that if I have soup, it would be extra thick. It wouldn't be as thick as concentrated, but I probably wouldn't use like a full can of milk. I'd use like half, and then it'd be very like
I'm
almost chewable. Yeah.
I will do that. I also like pulp in my orange juice. So like I like a thick
textures.
thing.
Yeah.
I'm down for that.
Okay.
I mean, yeah. Oh man, I love soup so much.
I just say reading this book because I don't eat like flesh.
Yes.
Like, it was some of the stuff sounded good, but then it just didn't because of
So I went on a hunt trying to find I thought about trying to make something, and then we just ran out of time, and then I went on a hunt for restaurants in town that might have something like this, and everything was meat. So many things in the thing are meat based. I was like, maybe we can swap it with some fish or something, but yeah. For me, the recipes were like half of it. It's just so good sounding.
Yeah. I just want somebody to make them.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, I don't like to cook like that. Well, plus you have to get ingredients. Cooking. That's my thing. I like cooking. No, I don't. I take that back. That was a lie. I do not like cooking.
Oh, I love cooking.
I like cooking with other people where I'm like the sous chef.
Yeah.
And just kind of helping or like chopping. But I don't want to be the main person at this point. There's like 3 dishes I make that I'll bring to something, and that's it. I don't want to do anything else.
No, I love cooking.
Well, you're a great entertainer too.
There's like a rhythm to it where I just feel like some days you can't get into it, but there's like when I'm going and things are right, there's just a rhythm to it. And it just feels like when she talks about in the book being, sort of born for the kitchen and all the things coming together, or the anxiety she feels over there's a dish that she feels rushed making. Yeah. I can totally relate to that. When I have the right amount of time and I get to just sit and bask in it, I freaking love cooking.
I loved it when she dropped the pan of the mole. And it was just like, that is
Kevin's chili from The Office.
Yeah. It is honestly the most sad thing when you ruin a dish or a dish is ruined for you. It is just like, why do I even do what I do?
Why do I go on?
Yeah. That's too much. Too much. Okay.
Yes.
So aside from soup, lots of great recipes. So check out the book. Okay. So.
But not just recipes. She learns how to make matches.
Oh, that's right.
As she goes to John's house.
Yes. So she's at John's house.
Yes.
Pedro and the family come back with a new baby daughter.
Esperanza.
Which
is hope. Hope? I think it means hope.
I don't know.
I'm almost sure that means hope.
Rosaria.
Sound off in the comments if you actually took Spanish.
So she ends up having to have a hysterectomy because she's troubled and she's gaining lots of weight.
Yes.
Lots of weight. And she has a little extra issue that comes up too, which is kind of hilarious.
She is gassy.
Like gassy from top to bottom.
She's bad breath.
Burpy.
Yes.
Bad breath and farting all the time.
There is an outward face to the internal ugliness.
Yes.
Oh, at this point too, Mama Elena has died.
Oh, yeah.
We should talk about that.
Okay. Rewind.
Mama Elena dies because she's so convinced that Tita's gonna poison her that she poisons herself. in a have you heard that there's like a Dalai Lama quote about anger is taking poison and hoping for the other person to die?
Yep. That's what she does.
It's exactly what it is.
Yeah. Although, I mean, every time, because Tita's making food, but the other person is taking credit.
Even when that happens, she still says it's bitter.
Yeah. But I'm like, when Tita's making food, though, she puts her emotions in. So it probably did taste a little bitter. I mean.
That's true. That actually might be true. The bitterness also might be internal.
Yeah.
Because there is one point where she tries something and she does not have the same response as everybody else. I think the wedding cake, she doesn't have the same kind of response. She doesn't barf all over the place. Or maybe she doesn't eat it at that point.
I can't remember. But all that to say, Mama dies. She's dead.
Yep.
And I mean.
Yeah. I mean. At this point, Tita's living her best life, chilling with John.
Yep. They've fallen in love at this point.
In love.
They're, probably going to get married.
Yeah.
That's the plan. But Pedro and they move back and they move into the family home, and then Mama dies, and so Tita makes a choice.
Tita makes a choice.
She comes back to the house for a while. I can't remember why.
Because Mama's deaf. Somebody needs to take care of Mama Elena, so she comes back to the house.
She was sick. Okay,
yep.
Okay. I'm vaguely remembering the time now. So, and then John has to go somewhere.
He goes up. Well, he proposes marriage to her, and then he goes up to get his aunt to bring his aunt back to the wedding.
And she's like from Virginia or something, far away.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like in the United States, he has to bring her down.
Yeah.
And so while he's gone now, and at this point, was Mama passed away when
Mama
they started
passed away
when they started fooling around?
Yes, Rosara had at this point assumes the role of head of household. She makes a point of this. Mother left the house to me, and she starts talking this noise about because now she knows she's not going to have any more children because of the hysterectomy. That the daughter Esperanza is going to have to take care of her.
Yes, and
this irks the bejesus out of Tita because she thinks that this
another level
tradition is abusive, which it is. And is very angry about this. And she first gives her sister the benefit of the doubt, but then Rosara mentions it several more times and then proceeds to fart.
And keep on farting.
Keep on farting.
And turning. And again, it's a little fat phobia because they just talk about her gaining so much weight, and just being a farty, gassy mess, which is...
And she's like recovering from this major surgery in her life, and her hormones are probably out of whack.
Yeah, and a major surgery during a time when major surgeries were not easy.
No, they were just like, here, bite this bullet, chug this tequila, and best of luck. Pour some booze on this every 5 hours.
Yeah. And so, but during this time, Pedro and Tita, they seal the deal.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
They have a secret. I think the first time they go to there's this weird dark room. It's so creepy. The mama liked to take baths in this dark room.
Yes. Because nobody can see her like in the shower.
And so she's like in this no windows, this dark room in this weird tub. And Tita always had to like wash her and just super creepy. Like,
yes.
I don't know.
Comb her hair until it was dry.
Yeah. Just
oil
awful.
her up. Weird.
Just, I don't know. I could have never lived in the old ages. Number one, I'm Black and not good times for me. Number two, I would not want to bathe anyone nor have anyone bathe me. Like you see like royalty and like the old timey movies and stuff. And it's just like your servants are washing your crevices. And I'm like, nope. No, thank you.
Washing your crevices. Excuse me, my lord, while I get to the crackamus.
But it's disgusting. But that's actually so Mama dies, and like Pedro and
they start using this room for storage.
Yes, but they storage sex.
Yeah, because they've like slammed, horny Gertrudis's bed in there.
Yes.
Yeah. And
the first time the wife sees them in the shadows, thinking it's Mama's ghost.
Yes.
And it's her husband sleeping with her sister.
And there's also fireworks going off.
I don't remember the fireworks.
Yeah, they talk about there was like light and there was all these like lights coming, and that's what they were originally drawn to, was like, what is this light? And then her and Chincha realize it's the ghost of Mama Elena, or they think it's the ghost of Mama Elena, which the irony of her thinking it's the ghost of the person who hates this idea of Pedro and Tita being together the most. Damn those Pedro eyes, has it's sort of, there's a lot of irony there.
Yes.
Yeah. So luckily to the haunting of Mama Elena, they're able to just like
keep it
bang in the storage closet whenever
all
they
the
want.
Time. Yeah. Well, basically until John gets back, and then, they kind of
stop for a little bit because Gertrudis also comes back.
Yes,
and Tita thinks she's pregnant.
Yes, so the naked sister, Rose Petal sister, comes back, and she's now no longer a prostitute. She's like second in command to the guy from the horse episode.
They've reconnected. They are in love. She is this like sexually and physically, a liberated woman.
Yes.
They talk about her dancing, and she hitches up her skirt, and she shows
scandalous.
her knees.
Like,
got
what a
some
harlot.
some foot nut going on.
But she's like, they bring their whole, like, they're on the rebel side, so they bring their whole
the whole
troop
army
comes with them, their whole not fleet, that's boats. You know what I mean? And they come and stay at the ranch, which is super annoying for the housekeeper because she's having to like cook for all these people. Yeah. She's just cooking 24/7. But it's like a nice reunion for the girls for the most part.
Yes. And there's also a moment of the whole Gertrude's storyline brings a moment of understanding for Tita about her terrible mother, who is absolutely terrible. But the whole like idea of generational trauma comes up because it turns out that Gertrudis is not actually the father of, or not fathered by Rosara and Tita's father. Yes. But this is the racism.
By a black man.
Not great to be black in this time. You cannot marry your
they called him
girlfriend.
Mulatto. What is that term?
Mulatto?
Mulatto.
I think they called it, which I think
the
is
daughter?
Not the preferred terminology.
Well, no, I know for a fact that people used to call me that. And I was like,
what?
That is not my preferred name. Okay. Yeah.
Not the preferred nomenclature, dude.
But yeah, she's part black and part Hispanic.
But she is white presenting.
Yes.
But it becomes a problem when she later has a kid because her child is not.
And that becomes a huge problem.
Yeah. So that's how she gets outed.
Yes.
That otherwise. But Tita at this point sort of sees the pain and the suffering that her own mother had gone through. And, you know, it's a bit of like a turning point. She talks about having a choice, which this also comes up in another good Latin American translated book, by Isabel Allende called the House of the Spirits. And there's a big portion in that book also about like you have a choice to act or to let the generational trauma continue and trickle down. And Tita actively makes the choice not to like continue that or even to like give away Mama Elena's secrets until it's absolutely necessary.
Because she's the one that finds out because she found these letters in Mama's stuff that talks about I want to call her Gertrude. That is not her name. Gertrudis. Yeah. In her about her real father.
Yes.
And it's so lucky she has those letters because Gertrudis' husband, who's this warrior guy, has this child now that is dark complected and thinks that she cheats on him, and it could have ended up with her being murdered and all that stuff. But they had the letters so they could prove it. You know, you are the father, Maury. With Tita
rolls in,
like running with the letters after him. Yeah, like you are the father. Anyway, so
I knew it.
But at the same time, Tita thinks she's pregnant. She's pregnant, and she's starting to like have real thoughts about it and
panic. And she tells Gertrudis outs her to Pedro, and Pedro's very excited, but she has all these conflicts. But this also leads then to the final conflict she has with Mama Elena's ghost, who's been visiting her and calling her a big old schlut.
Yes. And so it's the weird. So Pedro's outside dancing around, having fun with all the troops. They're singing and whatever. And he decides he's a little tipsy. He decides he's going to serenade Tita while his own wife is upstairs full of gas.
Yeah, just farting away.
Farting so much.
Let me tell you, if you're lactose intolerant, this is going to be me. I will identify with Rosara a little bit later after drinking this cream-based cocktail.
Yeah. That's how I feel about Cougar Gold cheese.
Oh, it's good.
It's so good, but it's like, listen, you live alone for a reason right now. As my cat's looking at me like, ma'am, what's wrong with you?
It's like when I go on a conference and that's when I like eat the most ice cream because I don't have to share a room with anybody.
Yes. Oh my gosh. Yes. I love dairy, but it is not my friend.
Yeah.
So anyway, so he's singing out to her and she's like, what the hell are you doing?
Yeah.
And Mama appears and she's like, tries to curse her baby. Yes. And it's like, she's being so nasty, like always.
You're not a decent woman.
Yeah.
You're a hooer, all these things.
And Tita stands up to her finally.
Finally. I hate you.
Yep.
You don't have power over me. Bye.
And then Mama's like, fine, bye. And she like disappears and then flies out the window into the fire.
As a spark.
Leaps onto Pedro, sets him on fire. The man is on fire and drunk. So that's not a great situation. They finally get him out.
You
all
ever
the flames out.
Been hated by your mother-in-law so much that she lit you on fire?
I'm sure that has happened to someone. So they bring him upstairs and like, of course, Tita's like, he's asking for her. She's right by his side and
she's crying and weeping.
Yeah. But she makes all these like salves and stuff for his body and he has like no scars because she did such a good job.
Yes. but this also leads to the confrontation with her, because this is the first time she's very public about her feelings towards Pedro. Everybody knows. Not that everybody hasn't already known, but they all definitely know now. Mm-hmm. And this leads to the confrontation with her and Rosaura.
Yes. Which I don't remember the confrontation really.
So the confrontation's wild. So part of it, she feels guilty about this like affair she's carrying on with Pedro, right? Mm-hmm. But her sister, Gertrudis, who is like the real shit stirrer.
Yep.
She's a stirrer. Gertrudis is like the shit stirrer who like loves to just like walk away from explosions. Mm-hmm. She says to Tita, well, maybe you're not the bad person for sleeping with your sister's husband. Which, I mean, maybe a little bit, but like, everyone's bad here. Everyone is awful. But maybe your sister is a shit person for marrying your boyfriend because we all knew it was your boyfriend. Mm-hmm. And Tita's like, oh man. And then Gertrudis just like puts on her sunglasses and is like, yeah.
And we're leaving now.
CSI Miami or something.
Yeah, so Gertrudis and her people leave.
Yeah, they leave after basically starting a ton of shit, and she just pieces
like, we're going back to war.
War is better than what's about to happen at this house.
And then
they throw down.
Yeah,
and they have their fight. And Rosaura says, you know what? You want to carry on? You want to schlum around with my husband? That's fine. But I will not be the laughing stock.
Yeah.
And Tita says, that's fine. But, you know, I'm going to do what I want to do and you're going to do what you want to do. And then they threaten who gets to like roll with the daughter Esperanza for a while. And they come to an agreement that Tita can sleep with Pedro and can teach Esperanza stuff in the kitchen. And Rosaura is in charge of her formal education, but she can't have kids. She's never doing anything with Pedro again, but they're not getting a divorce.
Yep.
They're just going to all live in this weird,
real messed up situation.
This weird threesome.
And didn't they do it for a while?
Yeah, they did it. They did it for like years.
Like that was the arrangement.
Yeah, because the daughter was like a year old and then it's like up to her wedding.
Yeah, because there was like a time jump for me here that I was just like, oh.
Well, they leave it sort of
nebulous.
They leave it nebulous. So at the same time that this is happening, John has returned.
Yes, with his auntie from the States.
Is so nice. Can we talk about John?
Can I just say this is the third Doctor?
I thought the same thing.
I was just like, why do we keep reading books about doctors?
Many weird doctors
that have so questionable choices.
His only bad thing that he's done is that she's like 18. He's like, when you're 18, I'm going to marry you. And I'm like, oh, okay. But
different era, but still gross.
But he's so nice. He takes care of her. He supports her. He like gives her the tools to survive.
Yeah.
In so many ways, John liberates her.
Yeah.
From like this generational trauma. He is like connected in his own way to like indigenous ways of knowing. He's so cool. And then they're just carrying on. And then, you know, Pedro, in the same time that he's coming back, you know, that John's coming back, Pedro's like throwing stuff at her in the room and is like, you don't put enough Vaseline on my burns well. Man, I don't want you around John. Pedro.
I know.
Okay, so
one of my favorite things.
On Team John or Team Pedro? Who are you on?
I'm on Team John just because she would have had a better life.
She would have had a much better life.
I marked one thing that John said that really honestly stuck with me even into my own life. And this is in June. It's on 113 in my book, but I don't know. And he's talking to her about she's just kind of like processing. And he says to her, she's just talking about, she's just in the sadness of her life and realizing what her life has been and just all the stuff that comes with having an abusive parent, you know, and like finally getting away from that pressure of abuse, you know, whatever. And he says this, he says, that's why it's important to keep your distance from people who have frigid breath. Just their presence can put out the most intense fire with results we're familiar with. It's like, if we stay a good distance from those people, it's easier to protect ourselves from being extinguished. And I'm like, no more cold breath breathers in my life.
No contact.
Yeah. But I think that's so true. Cause there's some people like, I have people in my life that I look at I call them my kryptonite. And it's like, when I get around them, I change as a person.
Yeah.
And it's just like, I become different. And then the energy that they give me makes me feel so bad that I'm like, I can't have you in my life.
Yes.
Or I can only take you in small doses, or you will literally kill me.
Well, I think that's a huge point of this book is that like your energy, it's all sort of couched in this magic realism box where so you can like laugh at the absurdity of things like Tita being angry and angrily throwing bread at the chickens. And then the chickens become so angry, they start a tornado.
Yeah.
You know, you can like laugh. But so much of this book is tied to like the energy that you have and the energy that people emanate really does affect you.
Yes.
And so she affects people through her food, but, you know, Mama Elena affects people through her presence. She's a formidable, scary woman. Rosara affects people through her presence.
Vagina.
Well, her vagina.
Oh, so not her vagina. Sorry. Gertrude.
Oh,
Gertrude.
You're okay.
My Gertrude's like, let me bring the fire.
Yeah, exactly. It's within me.
Yes.
And then, you know, you've got Rosara who's just farting up a storm, you know, but like her odor is her odious behavior in some sense. So, yeah, I think that's
good stuff there.
Thanks.
Yeah.
We read this in a class, so we had to do all the analysis.
Okay, now I don't feel. Now I take it back. Okay, you're just regurgitating what your teachers know. I know,
but it is true.
It's true.
It's all about energy and about
and it's
vibes.
It's very true, and it's amazing how one person can just change everything. The whole dynamic of a team or a party or just a room, you know, and it's just like, oh.
Yeah. When you hear people say that, like they just light up a room and you see somebody that's actually true, you see it.
Yeah.
And then there's some people, I don't know if you've watched What We Do in the Shadows. One of the things that they have is they have normal vampires and then they have energy vampires. And so the energy vampires just suck the energy out of the room. And it's absolutely
so true. The energy vampires are the worst. I went to have a meal with somebody recently and they're an energy vampire. I had to go home and take a nap. I'm like, it's the afternoon and I'm taking a nap because it was just so draining. I couldn't believe it.
So do you think that that's the problem with John to Tita, is that he's just boring to her?
I think he's boring because when you come from trauma though, like you know what I mean? Like you crave trauma and drama a little bit, like because that's your baseline. And so it is boring.
I 100% agree. When I read this book, like again as an adult, and now that I know how this like sort of works and having, you know, dealt with my own relationships with and stuff like that, when she picked, you know, well, you just like realize how he's so reasonable. John is so reasonable. He writes, or he says, Tita, it doesn't matter what you did, when she says, I gave my virginity to another man.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter what you did. There are some things in life that shouldn't be given so much importance if they don't change what is essential. What you've told me hasn't changed the way I think. I'll say again, I would be delighted to be your companion for the rest of your life, but you must think over very carefully whether I am the man for you or not. If your answer is yes, we will celebrate our wedding in a few days. If it is no, I will be the first to congratulate Pedro and ask him to give you the respect you deserve.
Oh my gosh.
He's so reasonable.
He's so good.
But when I got to the last chapter, so spoiler alert, if you've, you know, they sort of do a bait and switch.
It is very, I had to reread because I was like, wait, what? Wait.
It's so good. It's so good. Yeah, so they head into a wedding and they don't explicitly say whose wedding it is, but whose wedding is it?
It's Alex, the doctor's son.
Yes.
And Esperanza, Pedro and Rosaria's daughter.
Yes.
Grown up.
Yes.
Years later.
It feels like you're headed into John and Tita's.
That is false.
It is not true. You are headed into theirs. You know, I like actually physically got upset and had to close the book for a few minutes because I was like, of course she picked the fucking loser.
Yeah. This is where I started cussing at you, Sam. And then for the rest of the book, I was like, what?
This book is so wonderful.
Yeah.
And then the last chapter comes and it slaps you in the face.
Well, and so you come into this wedding and you're thinking it's one way. And then Tita's back to cooking.
So
I mean,
good.
they're making like a feast like no one else. And she's
25 trays of chili and walnut sauce.
Which is so, like, they describe how to make it. It's painstaking.
Yeah.
Because it's like you have to peel the walnuts and all this stuff.
Especially in the old days, you don't just food process or buy like shelled walnuts. You have to do it all yourself.
We had a walnut tree growing up. Pain in the butt because they have an outer coating. You had to get that off. Then you had to crack the nut. And you had to get into the nut. I'm like, I'm not doing this.
I have to pull all the walnut trees that end up in my garden.
Yeah,
the squirrels bury all of them.
Yeah. They're a pain in the butt. But anyway, so there's this. I mean, it's just joyous at this point. And so they're planning this big wedding, and like everybody's coming, and it's a celebration. And
Pedro's still jelly that
Yes.
John is even remotely, he gives her a box of matches that he has made. And Pedro's like, how dumb is that? And
when he's been screwing her this entire time.
But no, yeah, not married.
Well, and when did the sister die?
She died about a year before.
Okay,
the wedding.
I thought she died before. Yeah.
So it's like they've been doing this sneak around thing for 20 years. And John's the only one who has the gall or the cojones to say, like, it doesn't matter what other people think. Let's just do our thing. If you want to do this, he even says in the book, I'm going to marry Rosita whether her mother says yes or no. I don't care.
Yeah.
And so he
gives her all the choices.
And has all the strength. And instead, Pedro,
she lives as a side piece with this not great guy. And so anyway, Pedro's now excited though, because his wife is gone and now, things are changing. So they end up on the dance floor, him and Tita, and they're dancing.
And finally, after 22 years, he finally gets the balls to propose.
Yeah. So he proposes and she's elated. And then it's great.
Abused lady.
And then what I remember happening is that like party ends, blah, blah, blah. They go back to their secret place that they've made into this love den next to the kitchen.
Yeah. In their like unlit storage closets where they've been doing it.
Yeah, it's just like, okay. But they start to have...
Well, the room has been laid out and they each think the other has laid it out, but it was really the ghost of Nacha.
Oh, I didn't even catch that.
Oh, I love this book so much.
I'm going to have to reread it because it was like, but I didn't catch it. But yeah. So they start making love and they're so excited to do it as like an official couple. Yeah. Freaking Pedro dies on top of her her.
Yeah. He lights on like he goes towards the light. Of course, Pedro, of course he comes first and just leaves her. And then that's the most Pedro thing he's done this whole book.
And then just the way she describes it, it was like he not only died, but again, now you got to deal with this. Yeah, now I got to deal with this.
What am I going to do with your rigor mortis?
Yeah,
like, gross.
No, I'm going to start eating candles, which that's what happens.
Yeah, she gets close to the light.
Yeah,
and she goes away and thinks maybe I will not orgasm.
Yeah,
or die.
Whatever. And then she just starts chowing down candles. Yeah. And she eats so many candles that the flame and passion she had for Pedro lights them up inside of her.
Yes.
And it engulfs her and Pedro in the whole room. And then the entire ranch and everything burns down.
Lights on fire. The animals at this point have run away.
Yeah.
The guests have gone because why have the guests gone? Because they ate the horny cake.
Oh, that's right. Just everybody was doing it everywhere. Yeah.
Everyone ate horny cake and left.
Yeah.
And now those two are just
at it.
Banging. And he just comes first and then leaves her hanging.
And then she eats candles and lights everything on fire and the whole ranch burns down. And then it talks about how the only thing left was this freaking cookbook in the ashes and that the narrator was Pedro's granddaughter.
Justice for John. He never would have just died on top of her.
He would have never done that. But it was like, what is this book? Like I was so... Because I finished reading it at night and I don't like to talk to Sam before we get together about our books. And we work together. So I see her at work. Thankfully, she was out of town. So I was like, that hooch. I had no warning about this.
It's so good.
It was so good. But I was just like, dang it.
I put the book down. I finished it. I was like, and so she eats all the candles and then she has to like rekindle the fire within. Courtney, my best friend from high school. We have to talk about this.
It's so frustrating. But I mean, happily, I really think that you see the trauma. Yeah. And it's severed. Like the generational trauma is severed in many ways. Because it's like the couple that got married, Alex and Esperanza, they go on to have a family. And it's their daughter is the one that comes and finds this book. And
they talk about like the love that Esperanza had while she cooked. And so, they really do, and her grandfather was probably awesome because it was John again.
Oh, I'm sure. He actually gave like boundaries and healthy guidance and love and
taught her how to make matches and was like, this is cool. I bet her grandfather was super bomb.
But I think, I don't know. I love the fact, I mean, I think it's sad that family, like the ranch burned down, but I think it's beautiful too, to just like fresh start because of all the horrors in that house.
Well, it doesn't really burn down though, necessarily, like because the like family line is not extinguished. They've overcome the trauma.
Yeah,
because like
no, I just mean the visual, like the
ranch. Sorry, I thought you meant the family branch burned down.
No, sorry, ranch, like ranch dressing.
The ranch burned down.
But I just love that because it's just almost like Phoenix ashes type of things that
The
thing
Phoenix
that
is the
came out,
cookbook.
it was the cookbook, and and that was so important, and that was where all the love in the house was in that kitchen and in those recipes, except for the vomit one, you know, like. But it, you know what I mean? Like it was, I don't know,
the
that
angry
was
chicken
beautiful.
tornado.
Yes. That's where the diapers all got destroyed, right? Yes. Okay. So anyway, it was.
You hate it when you throw bread so bad your chicken start a tornado.
Anyway,
it's
good. There's actually like a sequel. And it's Tita's Diary.
Oh, I didn't know that.
And I was going to try and get it, but I couldn't get my hands on it in time. Oh. But it's like the same author wrote it, I believe. And it's it's all of this from Tita's purview. Purview? Is that a word?
Point of view?
Purview is a word
Purview
too.
is a word, but I don't think
it's point of view. Anyway, so it's from her, but I didn't read it. But anyway, it was good. Like, again, I was pissed at you a little bit. No, but I loved the book.
It's so good.
I'm so glad that you recommended this. So... Any last thoughts on this book before we do our rating?
So when I was a kid, like I said, I read it because it was all very sexy. My mom read this because she decided she really wanted to be involved in the literature I was reading. And I was very nervous because I had read the book and was like, oh, shit, what's my mom going to say? She's going to be like the parent that complains. And then I don't want to be that. Yeah, I don't want to be that kid. And she came in, dropped the book off after she finished it, and just looked at me and said, "That's a dirty book." And we never spoke of it ever again. Oh, that was the end of it.
Okay, well, so better than a call to the teacher. I was like, showing up at the school.
I just kept thinking, "Oh my God, please, Mom, don't complain about this book. It's so good." When I was, like I said, when I read it then, I was sort of like, oh, it's so sexy. Now I read it and I'm like, oh man, it's an intense tale about an abused woman.
Yeah.
And I wish we would have talked about it then. So the other day on Reddit on Life Pro Tips, there was a Life Pro tip that said, if you've been raised in an abusive household or by a narcissist, read about the way that the narcissist structure works before you find a partner. Otherwise, you'll find yourself drawn to other narcissists. And it really made me think about that line when I read this book.
Yeah.
Was that like Tita had Pedro, he wasn't actively abusive, or he was just kind of a wet turd.
He kind of was, though. Because he abused her feelings for him in many ways.
Yeah.
And the vulnerability that she had. Yeah. Like that she had in her own home to have him there. And he knew the power he had over her and just.
And he would get jealous if she was like spending any time with other people.
Yeah.
He wanted to be. He was possessive
and so demanding, though.
Yes. Yeah.
You know, of her love and her time.
That's
and
true.
Manipulative. I mean, the fact that he whispered, it was at the engagement party, I think, where that's when he said to her, like, I'm doing this because I can want to be close to you. How manipulative is that?
Oh my God. Yeah. Like, no, 100%. No, now that you say it like that. Yeah.
So it's on the DL for sure. And I think that because he's young and because there's so much passion over top of it, it gets lost. Not in the book, but just in life, sometimes I think that gets lost because you just don't see it because you're so in the hormonal whatever of it.
Well, and she's now conflated like love with strong emotion, but not just like, but like abusively strong emotions.
Oh yeah.
And so now that's what she thinks,
because that's what her mom did too. That's you know. Yeah.
So I think that it's a really good story. If you deal with those things in your family, be ready for that might strike you more. But it's
beautiful. It's a great book. And it's an easy read. Yes. And it's not, I kind of honestly was surprised when Pedro and Tita had sex for the first time. And this is when she lost her virginity. It was like 3 sentences and it was very it's not as good as Gertrude, but not Gertrude. You know, Gertrudis. Yeah. Like hers was like passion and this, and it was very like, okay, like that's, and that was kind of early in the book. So I thought, all right, this book's going to be saucy, but it really didn't go much deeper than that. It was, no pun intended.
You know, he wasn't good.
No, but it was very, I mean, I guess that's very on point, but it's just like, it was just kind of like, okay, like this is not. And by the time that you really hear about the passion of them, they're dead. You know what I mean? Like really, like I mean, there's the little moments of like when she's making the food with no bra and he's getting all like, hey, look at those apples.
It's all Look at those apples.
Sorry.
Look at that. That's a sack of apples I'd like to touch.
I like those.
No, you're right. All the sensuous seeds are really very like related to food, or it's like there's a lot of teasing.
Yeah.
But that's like their whole relationship too, until they just decide to like apparently bang for 20 years and then not talk about it and skip it.
It's like I think that's so telling because it's so sad.
Yeah.
It's like they finally get what they quote unquote want to be together, but they're not. They're not really together.
Well, they're together in the light.
What do you mean?
At the end, they go.
But I mean that
the
whole
light.
20 years.
Yeah,
like
they have to
how
hide.
sad. I mean,
they have to.
What a sad way to live. And then she never got to have kids. She never got to do any of these things. She never got to be public with her love and her affection
until the last day, and then she burns down.
Yeah,
she has a man die inside of her, and she burns down.
Oh my gosh, what a way to go!
Well, adios, world.
Oh my gosh. So okay.
Yeah,
it was a lot. So when you think about this book,
yes,
what would you rate it?
Oh, 10 out of 10 edible candles. just chomping away on the whole IKEA pack of candles.
Oh
I
my
love it
gosh.
so much. I still
just
love
the
it.
visual of that. It's just like, and think about what chomping on a candle's like. I mean, just dedicated.
Desperate. Yeah.
Yeah. Like I can't even imagine.
So good.
I think that I would give this 2 rose petals.
2.
And 1 right around the stable.
How big is the stable? How much can we accomplish?
Because honestly, that was my favorite scene. Was it was the rose petal sequence was just so amazing.
The middle sister's my favorite character in the whole book.
Yeah,
she's so wild, and she doesn't care. Like everybody's so scandalized about her working at the brothel, and the letter she sends is like, I'm just so like I have a fire within me that I can't quench, and I'm just gonna keep banging dudes until it goes away.
Like talk about
love it. Well, she talks about her sister's liberation.
I just think it's beautiful. It's just like she's like, this is what I want right now.
Yeah.
I want to be doing this. And it's definitely like, it's not like she was sold into like something horrible or it was really her choice. And especially at that time, I think that might have been the only way to be liberated in your sexuality. Because how else you can't really just go around banging the like townsfolks because like you're going to be called a witch and, you know.
Yeah, they'll run you out or something.
Yeah. So it's like, I mean, obviously ending up in a brothel is not like.
It's definitely idealized in this book.
Yes. But I get it. You know, I get the whole like, just like, I just have to quench my thirst.
I wrote college years. Just, you know, hot girl summer all the time for Gertrudis.
It's like, all right, girl, like you do you. So
yeah, she's my favorite character, but and John, but yeah, I think that, and then her marriage is. Yeah,
is this your favorite doctor so far out of our 3?
Yeah. 10 out of 10.
10 out of 10 for this doctor.
AMAs. American Medical Association approves of Dr. John.
It was good.
Only good doctor.
Yeah, I don't know. I think this is a really good like book club book or like read it with your best friend. Because again, it's such an easy read and it just has so many great themes.
And it's conducive to a potluck.
Yeah.
The food is
my gosh.
so good.
I would love to have a party just make all this food. But
what is the dish you would eat the most? And then there was a line in there, she hates soft-boiled eggs. What is a food you would never touch? Well,
like for me, a lot of it had like to do with meat in this. So
imagine soy rizo.
That sounds horrible. I honestly I just want that rose dish and the walnut sauce. Like I just want to try both those things.
They could probably do a veggie chilies and walnut sauce.
Yeah. I don't know.
What if we did it with impossible meat?
That would work too. Yeah. I don't know. Like, what was your favorite?
I would say the chilies and walnut sauce, and then the one that's like the kind of lasagna-y type one, the champandongo.
Mm.
That one sounds really good.
I also want to try the. Never mind.
The cream fritters, the candles.
The candles.
You want to try the candle?
Yeah, I was like, you know what sounds really good right now? Just wax. Actually, I've already done it because I grew up in late 80s. So remember those little wax bottles that you would get with the juice inside and then you chew on the wax?
Yes, I do.
Can't imagine swallowing that, but I
was going to say you accidentally ate a whole baby bell, didn't you?
Oh gosh. So gross. Yeah, but I don't know. I wonder if there's like a a cookbook that goes along with this.
There's people who blog about it online.
Oh,
this is like one where
out.
there's like interesting blogs where people have done this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, super good. So
I'm glad you liked it.
Yeah. I didn't mean to cuss at you, but
it is
the other thing I forgot to tell you.
Yeah.
They created a ballet in this. Just now.
A ballet?
They have a ballet. It's beautiful. The Royal Ballet. You can see it online. You can see clips of them like workshopping it, and the author's involved. And so she's doing an interview too. And it's like, it's the way they do it so beautiful. Like they're like mixed, like Tita's in the kitchen, and they're using like beige scarves and pieces of fabric to make it look like bread making. And you're just like, this is it's beautiful. Like I want to see it because it's so pretty.
Well, that road trip when they go to Seattle, we'll do it.
Because it's just like, it just came out, I think, this last year. They just were workshopping and stuff. So anyway, I'll link it in the show notes, the YouTube videos. But I couldn't believe it. I was just like, what is with us and all these like, we're just like, boom. Go ask Alice, boom. Like water for chocolate, boom. Like, okay, I need to stop saying boom. But speaking of boom, so next month we have a very special treat because it's our spooky season. And so we are reading Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark, which is a classic horror book for small children.
I've never read it. I could not there were, like I said in the first episode, there were some boxcar children that were a little too spooky for me.
Okay, I just want to tell you, like, when I even look at the cover of this book, which is like this scary picture.
I can picture it from my childhood.
There's a story in there about a little girl that wears a ribbon around her neck that like scared the shit out of me when I was 8, reading it in the school library. That I was, to this day, it freaks me out. So I don't know why we picked this book, but I'm super excited because I'm going to confront
read this
the
one
fears.
in the day.
Oh yeah,
in the daylight.
Yeah, but I'm super excited because it's just like, I love spooky season, and Hocus Pocus 2 is coming out. Like, it's a very big month.
So
there's a lot happening.
I've got my Winifred Sanderson Squishmallow that my friend Deb and Dina gave me.
We should do it like I
have a black candle.
Oh my gosh, we should do a party.
Lot of black candles.
We, meaning you, should throw a Hocus Pocus 2 party so we can just watch the movies and like.
I will make eyeballs for our photo shoot for this.
Oh, I love it. Yeah, I don't know. I'm so excited. I think that we have some really good books coming up. I was working on our schedule, so
cool. Excited.
Hope you guys enjoy it too. Read like water for chocolate.
If you're feeling spicy.
Real spicy.
Spicy.